Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you, and Anything Goes Friday commences in a few minutes. But first, Matt Taibbi is with us, one of the most brilliant investigative reporters in the United States, in the world, frankly. Contributing editor to the Rolling Stone magazine, rollingstone.com. Matt, welcome back to the program.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
It's great having you here. So I understand that you and your investigating, perambulating, turning rocks over, especially on Wall Street, have discovered that there is the next takedown that these guys have in their sights is public sector pensions. Do I have this right?
Well, I mean, they've been taking down both. That's actually kind of part of the story, is that public sector pensions were a huge target pre-2008 of the whole mortgage-backed security scam, and that's one of the reasons that a lot of them blew up. But now states. Now there's a whole bunch of states that are pushing pension reform, and basically the new narrative is that that's not the reason that these funds blew up. The reason they blew up is because worker benefits are too expensive, so therefore we have to cut benefits. And the solution to fixing the problem is pushing the remaining funds into management by hedge funds and private equity funds. So it's kind of like a triple whammy that, basically, first Wall Street blew up the public pension sector, and now as a cure for that problem, they get to have it all under management again. So that's sort of the story.
So let me get this straight. First of all, some people don't know what we're talking about when we say public pensions. We're talking about the retirement funds for state, federal, county, government employees.
Yes, state and municipal.
Yeah, state and municipal. Yeah. Okay, pension funds. Mm-hmm. And the retirement funds for when they... And these funds, these are huge pools of money, billions and billions of dollars, probably an aggregate, over $1 trillion?
It's like $2.6 trillion in the United States. Yeah, these are basically the biggest piles of institutional money in the country. Okay, so
these funds, they have to figure out a place to put that money on a day-to-day basis, and so they invested a fair amount of it back before 2008 in things that these banks were hustling, these collateralized debt obligations and all this nonsense, all these artificial things that came about as the result of Phil Graham's work with Graham Leach Bliley and the Commodity Futures Modernization Act. In other words, these mortgage-derived products that ultimately blew up and took down the stock market. Do I have that part right?
Right, yeah, they were AAA rated securities that were not AAA.
Right, so the banksters took all this money from the pension funds and said, "Oh, just give us the money. We'll give you a great return on it." And they give them $1 trillion, and they say, "Oh, it blew up. Your $1 trillion is now only $300 billion. Sorry."
Right.
And so that's kind of the state of affairs after 2008. And so then the politicians who are the front men for these banksters come along and say, "Oh, look at the public pension funds are underfunded." And we've been hearing this word. There's not enough money to pay everybody their retirement. That must mean that we're not taking enough money out of people's paychecks. And if we started taking enough money out of people's paychecks, we'd wipe them out. It would be too much. So we have to cut back on their benefits. Am I right so far?
You're right on the money. That's exactly the way it worked.
Okay, yep. So then these politicians who are the wholly owned shills for the Wall Street banksters say to the people of their state, if we cut back on the benefits a little bit, and also maybe if we take these funds and instead of having the government manage these funds and invest them, even though they're having to buy investments from Wall Street, why don't we just hand them off to the billionaires on Wall Street in the first place and change the nature of the funds maybe even change some of them from pensions to 401ks and turn it all over to Lloyd Blankfein and Jamie Dimon and all these guys. And we're going to call this pension reform. Am I right on that too?
You're right on the money. That's exactly the way it works. And a key element here that is really important is that when they're changing the structure of a lot of these funds to these 401k style plans,
right.
They're moving a lot of this money into what they call "quote unquote" alternative investments. So it's not just it used to be typically these funds were invested like 60% in stocks and 40% in bonds. That was the old structure. Now what they're trying to do is and they're saying because of what happened last time, because the stock market blew up, now we need to diversify, and so we need to get a much bigger percentage of other stuff like hedge funds, private equity funds, and venture capital funds.
Which is the stuff that blew up the stock market in the first place, right?
Exactly. And not only that, the hilarious thing, first of all, every hedge fund prospectus, if you've ever seen one, has a gigantic disclaimer on it on the front in huge letters that says, these are high-risk investments, you may lose everything, so be careful.
Right.
Not only are they risky, and not only do they have a bad track record, and not only are they outperformed by random bets on the Standard & Poor's 500 index,
right.
But they cost about 200 or 300 times what it costs just to bet on an index of stocks.
Amazing.
Now millions and millions of dollars.
Right. So the banksters are and they're converting people basically from defined benefit plans. You know how much you're going to get for the rest of your life until you die, to defined contribution plans. That is, if you've got $40,000 in your account when you retire, you got $40,000. When it runs out, good luck. The gutter's waiting for you.
Right.
We're right on that too, right? So yeah, I'm curious.
Sorry, just to interrupt. A key thing: a defined contribution plan means the workers aren't getting. You don't know how much you're going to get if you're the worker, but you know how much you're going to be giving. That part still stays static.
Because what you get is going to depend on how your investment does, and it might blow up.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Okay, so what states has this happened successfully in any states so far, and where are they pushing this?
Oh yeah, it's happened all over the country. I mean, it's been happening for the better part of even predating the crisis. This process started.
Is this happening largely in Republican-controlled red states, or is this also happening in democratically controlled blue states?
It's a completely bipartisan phenomenon. The states that I looked at, like in particular Rhode Island, this was implemented by a Democratic Party politician named Gina Raimondo. She's the treasurer there. She's going to be running for governor as well.
And I read in your article that she had a certain conflict of interest.
Well, yeah. I mean, she among other things, she was originally from a venture capital fund that was invested with the state of Rhode Island, but she's amassed a $2 million war chest to run for governor, basically out of thin air, since she started this pension reform fund, and a lot of that money has come from out of state. It's come from companies like from people who work for companies like Bain and Goldman. So that's the other nefarious side of all this is that the politicians who have their fingers on these purse strings, it's an incredibly easy way to get campaign contributions just by doling out allocations.
Yeah, amazing. So, Matt, we got about 30 seconds here. What can be done about this?
Well, the key thing I think is unions have to become aware of all the negative possibilities here, because for years union reps sat at these pension board meetings, and they would have a consultant come and basically just tell them what to do, and a lot of the times people didn't pay attention because they just trusted what they were being told. And I think the key thing is that if you're a public worker, you got to tell your union leaders to pay attention at these meetings, because you might be giving your money away to somebody who is going to undermine your pension.
So once again, we're back to the position where basically for working people in America, the one line of defense they've got against being screwed is having a union. And that's only, 10% of Americans?
Right, exactly.
Amazing.
Exactly.
Amazing. Matt Taibbi, you're doing great work, Matt. Keep it up.
All right, thanks a lot, Thom.
Matt Taibbi, Rolling Stone Magazine, rollingstone.com. We'll be back with Anything Goes Friday right after the break.